Welcome to this video on dividing rational expressions. Let's begin. So remember, we have this property that the square root of ab is equal to the square root of a times the square root of b. And remember, this actually works with any root, where n is equal to 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Well, we have the same property with division. So we can say that the square root of a divided by the square root of b is equal to the square root of a over b. And again, we can apply this to not just the square root, but any root that we want to. So let's begin. So we have 10 times the square root of 18 divided by 5 times the square root of 6. So I would like to rewrite this in the following way. I'm going to rewrite this as 10 over 5 times, remember I can combine the 18 and the 6 under a single radical, 18 divided by 6. Okay. So you have 10 over 5 times the square root of 18 over 6. Well, 10 over 5 is just 2, and 18 over 6 is just 3. So my final answer is 2 times the square root of 3.
Let's look at this next problem. So we have 15 times the square root of 24 divided by 12 times the square root of 3. So how should we approach this problem? Well, there's a few things that we can do. One way to think about this is that we can have 15 over 12, and we can think of that as one fraction. And then we can also have 24 divided by 3. That could be under a single radical. So this is just one way to approach it. So notice 15 over 12, that's just a fraction that we can definitely reduce. 3 goes into 15, and 3 goes into 12. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So already, without messing with the radical, we can just reduce that part of the fraction. Now let's look at the square root of 24 over 3. Well, 24 over 3 is just 8. So you could write this even more simply as 5 square roots of 8 divided by 4. However, as you remember from a previous video, we can simplify even further the square root of 8. So the square root of 8, remember one way to think about this is to do a prime factorization. So 8 is 4 times 2, 4 is 2 times 2. So we're taking the square root of 8, so that's the square root of 2 times 2 times 2. So remember, we're looking for pairs of numbers that come out. So 2 makes it out. So in other words, the square root of 8 is equivalent to 2 times the square root of 2. So the final answer, we need to replace the square root of 8 with 2 square roots of 2. Okay, so we're almost done. So now we have 5 times 2. Well, 5 times 2 is 10. So we have 10 square roots of 2 over 4. And then last but not least, 10 over 4 reduces. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So our final answer is 5 square roots of 2 over 2.
All right, here's another example. Now notice that everything is completely under the radical. So let's write it as 50x cubed y to the 7th divided by 2x y squared, and we'll put this all under one radical. Okay, so let's walk through this step by step. So first we're going to divide 50 by 2. Well, 50 divided by 2 is 25. Then what we want to do is we want to divide x squared by x, or x to the first power. Now, I will post some videos that review how to do this. This is actually applying the quotient rule. When you apply the quotient rule, you subtract your exponents, so you get x squared. Just a quick review here. So remember, x cubed would be like x times x times x. So the reason it's x squared is because one of those x's cancels out, and you're left with x times x, or x squared. Again, I'll post a video if you need a longer refresher than that. So this becomes x squared. Same thing with y to the 7th and y squared. We subtract those exponents. 7 minus 2 is 5. So this becomes y to the 5th power. Again, all of this is still under the radical. Now, if you need to do this intermediate step, you can. You certainly don't have to. Think about breaking it down into different radicals, right? So the square root, let me erase this up here so we can write it up here. So the square root of 25 is going to be just 5. The square root of x squared is just x. And then, what about the square root of y to the 5th power? Do you remember how to do this? Well, what we need to do is we need to divide 5 by 2. 2 goes into 5 twice. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. So we have 2, remainder 1. So remember, that means that the exponent of y on the outside of the radical is 2, and the exponent on the inside of the radical, the exponent of y on the inside of the radical is 1. Okay, so this would be our final answer.